So I bought a bunch, and then my brother and I drank it all, and I was like, oh, we'll go get another one. And then I did. And then we drank it all again. And then, so I had to buy another one.
Third time's a charm.
6 packs.
Who's got a fucking cat?
That is Samson.
Like, what the fuck? God damn it.
Hello and welcome to the Game Brew Podcast, episode 009 on July 18th, 2017. I'm your host, Ian Richard, and I'm here this week with Dan Rotz.
Hi.
Chris Wrights.
Hello.
Alex Ryder.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good to be back.
Yay.
And Will Shell.
Hello.
We're less excited for him.
Today... Yes. See, I was doing so well, Dan. God damn it.
Derailed.
Today, we'll talk about our Christmas in July experiment, White Elephant Gaming, and we'll review those games that were assigned to us this past week. And in our second half, we'll discuss why we buy games. We'll discuss how we inform ourselves about which games to buy. But first, it's time for a beer.
Fuck yeah.
Chris, what are we drinking this week?
This week is a beer from Ballast Point Brewery called the Grapefruit Sculpin. They're from California, I believe. And yeah, it's basically grapefruit added to their Sculpin IPA. Mm-hmm. And it's got a really good reputation. It's a good beer. So let me know what you guys think.
Comes across a lot like Loose Cannon, if you've ever had that.
Yeah, I've had that a couple times.
Just a few.
Being from Baltimore.
Just a few.
I like the way you said that. Oh, good sir.
It's my go-to IPA.
It's a little bit more aggressive than Loose Cannon, though, actually. Loose Cannon's a little smoother than this.
I think that is the grapefruit.
It has a beautiful color tone to it, which is usually your job to describe, Ian. But it is beautiful. It's a very Fort Knox Gold from Die Hard with a Vengeance color.
Okay. All right.
Wow. That's
Solid
very
reference.
specific.
Thank you. I would love to join you in the tasting process, but I poured it wrong because I wasn't paying attention, and I've still got like 5 inches of head still on the thing.
Dude, you just got to power through that head, man.
I'm just going to power through it.
You can do the old nose trick.
But yeah, touch your nose, wipe it on
Some
the
of
head,
that grease. And
get that oil in there.
adds
Yeah,
to
there's
the
some
flavor.
grapefruit in that. For sure.
For sure.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our reactions to our White Elephant Gaming experiment this week. And I had a lot of fun playing Hyper Light Drifter, but I don't want to talk about that first. What I want to do first is, we all know, if you're a fan of the podcast, you know that Will Shell, up until now, has never played a Zelda game. And this past 2 weeks, he was assigned to play Ocarina of Time because it is a classic and it is a titan of gaming. And Will, what are your thoughts, man?
I don't know that I would use the word titan of gaming.
First off,
I set you
did
up
you pull
for
up your
success,
activity log?
you fucker.
This Will's time.
I like the game. I'm really, really enjoying it. I have had a difficult time because I've been traveling, and I realize the DS is a traveling apparatus. This is a game that requires my attention when I sit down to play it. And I've been gone for 2 weeks, and now I'm working, full time after my summer teacher break. That's right, children. And so I've been sitting down in the evening to play it. And it's a nice way to end the evening. It's really interesting, but it's not a game that's conducive to a busy lifestyle being able to play it, because I can't sit down and play for a stint of 30 minutes and get anything done and still feel like I've explored. It takes at least an hour every time I sit down to do something. That I don't like.
I'd say that's a fair response. But what do you think about the game itself, regardless of how long it took you to get into it?
That's the only thing that I don't like, that, and aside from the fact that Link doesn't talk. He's a boring little shit, as I said last week. But other than that, I really am enjoying the gameplay. Those few times I have had an hour or more to sit down and play the thing, I've had a great time diving into it. I feel like I've gotten something accomplished. I feel like I've learned something about the world along the way, and not really about Link, but about some of the characters in it along the way. And that's been really, really rewarding. I didn't think I was going to like the I guess I'll say old school open worldness
Yeah.
of it. That's what it reminds me of. But I find that I actually have enjoyed, especially with the little rub the rock or crawl into the rock future hint system. I forget what that thing's called. You crawl into the rock and the rock says, go do this, with the foreshadowing.
Crawl into the rock.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Are you talking about the
right
Great Deku Tree?
No. When you go out of, every time you log into the game, boot up the game, you go out of Link's little tree house.
Yeah.
Because he's pimping in his tree house.
Right.
And you go down, and down and to the left, there's this little rock thing you can go into.
So that was added for the HD remake. That wasn't in the N64 version. So they added Eye of Truth stones to the game to help kind of like make it so if you don't know what you're doing, you can go hit that rock and it's going to be like, oh, you should go do this.
So dumb people like Will could be able to figure out where they had to go.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
dumb people like me.
okay.
Yeah.
That's also where you can go refight bosses. As well.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
I see.
But it's been really rewarding. I've had a great time with that discovery.
What was your, like, tell me what your favorite part about it was. Was it the gameplay? You said you liked the exploration part.
I really liked the exploration factor. I felt like when I explored things, I got some personal reward from that. The game, even with the hint system that apparently I'm the only one who's used, doesn't really hold your hand through a lot. You run into something or someone who drops a hint on what you need to do, and it's your job to go figure out what to do.
Right.
And I don't normally like that thing. I like a little more, hey, buddy.
You want
Hey,
your hand to be held a little bit more?
You want some candy? Come over. I'll give you some candy. Come over here. I like a little more hand holding with that and direction because I'm generally a more story oriented person. I don't
Right.
gravitate towards
Right.
open exploration. But something about the way it's presented here is really, really rewarding. And I think that it's the fact that it's still accessible. It's not on such a level that I have to spend 5, 6, 7 hours at a time like I am with the Surge when I've been playing the Surge, figuring out one little thing per area just to make a little advancement. I can make several little advancements along the way.
The world building in that game was just straight up incredible.
Oh, it's great. I love exploring Hyrule, or as they would say down here in Tennessee, Hyrule.
Hyrule. So generally positive thoughts about the game, in spite of the fact that it's old as fuck.
Yeah. Generally, positive thoughts. I did notice, and this might just be a 3DS thing.
Yep.
Do you guys know, like when I kick the 3D on and I've got it at the right angle, the graphics look enhanced. And I don't just mean 3D, I mean that more detail seems to pop out of that.
That's in general what the 3DS, like the 3D function did.
Yeah.
Does it do that on all games, like textures pop more and...
Games that are made for it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't normally use it, but I found myself using it with this. It made it a lot easier to identify not just enemies, but things in the environment that I could interact with or was supposed to interact with
Interesting.
quite a bit.
I usually don't keep the 3D on.
I usually don't with games either, but with this I found, unless I needed to look around and tilt the thing, I left it on most of the time. It was a helpful, almost game mechanic to have it on.
Right.
It's just, like say, everything pop more.
So how many hours did you end up logging?
Yes.
I logged. Chris really wants me to pull up and see. I think I got like 8 hours because
Okay.
I've been walking along all over this damn place.
I'm going to say 40 minutes. 40 minutes. That's all it is.
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
No. I got several hours in the game. I know I did not hit the 12 hours. So how do I do this? Activity
Go to
log?
activity log.
I don't want to say Chris is going to yell at me.
I'm going to yell at you too.
I didn't get nearly what I thought I got.
Oh my
But Chris
god!
is going to yell at me.
How many hours?
Several.
Several. 3.
4 hours and 10 minutes.
That's
You
what I
son of a bitch.
4 hours.
I've been traveling.
Okay, so
That's
so
what it's
all
for.
All I would say, Will, is that you have only scratched the surface, and there's a lot more to enjoy
There's
in that
so
game.
much
and
more.
Yeah.
I don't want your first Zelda experience to be a meh experience because that game is incredible and it deserves more of your time. That's all.
It has not been a bad experience, and it's been a good enough experience, aside from 2 hours wandering through a cave, not realizing I was supposed to throw bombs at laser eyeball shooting things. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm absolutely going to keep playing it. It's Chris was right when he recommended this game.
Cool.
He said I thought I was going to really enjoy it, and I absolutely do. He was right.
Very good. All right, and speaking of Chris, let's go to Chris. Chris, you've been playing Dead Cells this week, right?
I have.
And what do you? Because I assigned you Dead Cells, and I thought you were gonna love it. So I've had my fingers crossed.
So I I love it and I hate it.
Ooh.
Because it's a roguelite. Every time you die, you basically lose most of what you've done, and then you have to go and do it again.
Right. So Dead Cells, just to fill in anybody who hasn't heard of it, and if you haven't, I'm sorry for you because it's great, but it's a 2D sort of Metroidvania roguelite. Snappy combat, super cool pixel art. Please carry on, Chris.
So I really like the combat. The combat is amazing in this game.
Yeah.
So one of the main mechanics is rolling, and when you're rolling, you're invincible. So basically, you're rolling almost all the time.
Right.
At least strategically. And it is really smooth combat. Like, the combat is probably the best thing that I like about it the most.
Right.
They do keep it really fresh because they're procedurally generated worlds.
Yeah.
Or each level is procedurally generated. So I do like that. That makes it fresh. But it's very frustrating every time you die to lose everything. And basically starting from square one again and kind of trying to figure out a build that's going to work to get to the point that you need it to go.
On the fly.
Yeah.
But you do get to collect a resource that allows you to...
You collect cells.
That allows you to unlock new weapons, and it gives you boosts to how much health you can refill and things of that nature.
Correct, but you don't get to keep any statistics that you acquire on the way or any weapons that you acquire. You do get to keep some gold, and you can increase the amount of gold that you keep.
Right.
But so I found that a little frustrating for me, especially coming from... I have played a couple Castlevanias that I've loved, absolutely loved, and I would say the combat in this is definitely better than that. Like, the ultimate for me would be to have the Dead Cells combat, but having more of the RPG elements so that, like, I get to keep at least some of the stuff, you know? Like, I could see, like, losing some statistics.
Sure.
But it was very frustrating to me. Like, I would have run. I mean, that's what the game's about is doing runs. Like, that's one of the statistics is runs, and they reward you for being faster and faster. And you do get to keep things that unlock doors. Like, so there's one thing that makes vines grow and another one that lets you teleport.
Right.
But I mean, I can't wait to see where... I mean, this game is still in development. It's on early access. Mm-hmm. It's really cool.
Yeah. All right, so how many hours?
12.
12. Very good. So you reached the threshold. Good for you.
For sure.
And you think that you'll keep playing it?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think I will.
They've been good about releasing content too. They did a couple of major updates, I think a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, they do. They release about every month or month and a half, I think, some new content.
Right, so this should be another one coming up soon. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
I want to go to Dan next because Dan had a super positive experience. Tell us all about it, Dan.
I will tell you all about it.
Dan, are you fluent in Russian now?
Sikiblit. No, I'm not. But man, Will, you spent 4 hours playing your game, and I spent 12 hours playing mine. That you graciously gifted to me.
I will reiterate, my
$0.
game takes an hour chunk at a time to get something done. You can play in 20-minute chunks.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, you can't, because if you're playing ranked, you have to submit. It's going to be at least an hour and a half. It's at least 90 minutes that you may spend in the game.
It's at most 90 minutes.
Or at most 90 minutes. I'm sorry, at most 90 minutes. My apologies. But I spent actually like 12 and a half hours because the last time I played, I was doing a ranked match, so I couldn't
Dan,
stop in the middle.
Yeah, in case you weren't here with us yet, Will sort of assigned Dan CSGO because he already owned it. So, sorry, carry on, Dan.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
something I thought he would...
Yeah.
No. You don't get to defend yourself. This is Dan's time.
Yeah, so I played Counter-Strike Go for 12 and a half hours, and boy, howdy, do I hate everyone who plays Counter-Strike Go.
Okay, all right. So what? Before we get to that, like, what do you take away that the game is on point about? Like, what does Counter-Strike Go do well? Why do you think other people play it?
My overall experience was about average for the type of game that it was. So this game, Counter-Strike Go, is pretty straightforward, a first-person shooter, team versus team. That's it. That's all it is. Because there's either two types of mode. You either do one team is terrorists, the other team is counter-terrorists. It assigns no country, just terrorists and counter-terrorists. So,
well, terrorists are technically non-state actors, so
it's a very politically
accurate.
correct game, Dan. I mean,
sure. The game itself is politically correct.
The people aren't.
So if you're a terrorist, you have to go and either plant a bomb or defend hostages, that the counter-terrorists are either trying to stop you from planting a bomb or stop you from getting hostages, which that's, great and all. And it does that. You do that. It is very skill-oriented. There's not a lot of like, this person has this better weapon, this person has this better weapon. You can get other weapons that are different from the main set, but the majority of it is, did I click in the right place faster than somebody else clicked in the right place?
Dan, did you have fun?
I had fun sometimes.
Why? Okay, so why did you not have fun?
The reason that I did not have fun is because I want to say the word is, there's very little Overwatch of what happens,
Overwatch.
Yeah,
Funny.
not Overwatch. Because the amount of like 11, 12, 13-year-olds I played against was entirely too high. The racism and bigotry that I experienced while I was playing it, as well as like the just general not niceness of people, was terrible. Like, I couldn't stay. There were some days when I played it for 20 minutes and I had to leave because people were just so rude. Other people calling people, oh, this guy's cancer. This guy on this other team, he's cancer. And people using the N-word over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, calling people like just the worst things ever. And I can't believe that is just, and it's because this anonymity that the internet gives you,
right,
that these people are saying these things. And it's just, it just makes me so sad.
Yeah, that is super shitty. It sucks when there's like quality content behind a terrible community. I've sort of I dipped my toes into League of Legends. Not to say that League
I was
of
about to
Legends
say
has a
League.
community that's similar, but
I had to stop playing.
League is much more like, if you suck, they hate you. It's not so much racism and bigotry, I don't think. But still, like I couldn't get over the fact that people essentially didn't want you to play the game.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Dan, that's really interesting that you bring that up, and it reminds me of when I first started, and then in kind of the middle of my career, if you will, playing that game. I had forgotten that was a thing that goes on, because when I hop on and play now, I've got a group of friends that I play with, and there's always kind of somebody on. We did we did the Counter-Strike clan a while ago, and we're all still
don't hate on your fam, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But we're all still around, and it's a really supportive community. I haven't experienced what you experienced in 5 years.
Yeah. But that's kind of the thing. I had a couple of games that I played mostly in the ranked matches. If you get a good team, or like people who, are playing the game to play the game, even if you're not doing well, they're like, hey, you got it, man. You got it. But
yeah,
just the majority of people that I ran across, unfortunately, where
it's definitely not a community that welcomes people who don't know what they're doing. It takes itself very seriously, and when you get in a good group of serious people who all want to do well and know what they're doing and know the mechanics and coordinate, it's a great experience. But you're right. When you get just one guy in there shitting in the pudding, then it's you get shitty pudding.
All right, Dan.
It's not good.
So, final thoughts. How many hours did you put in?
12 and a half-ish, like maybe 13, something like that.
And will you continue to play?
If I had
Dan, I'm
people
gonna buy you a game.
if I have someone to play with, I might, but
I'll play with you.
I'll play.
Thanks. Hey, you guys are going to play with me after the whole 3 weeks of me asking you to play and no one's able to do it? Oh, that's really nice. Thanks.
I was playing Dead Cells, dude. Sorry.
No, I mean, I could play. I mean, I catch myself being like, I've got nothing to do. I could spend a little time playing Counter-Strike Go. Like, it's one of those games. So, yeah, I could do that.
Well, cool. So, Chris, you assigned me Hyper Light Drifter.
No, Dan did.
I assigned you Hyper Light Drifter.
sorry.
You bastard. I can't believe.
I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Because this is an extraordinarily good game. And I don't say that lightly, but it is a game that takes some investment. So Hyper Light Drifter, it's a 2D. It's not really like Zelda, but it has the same perspective, so it's kind of top down. It's got a 32-bit aesthetic to it, and the combat is so good. It's so tight, and it's so, once you get a couple of power-ups, it's really complex. And the world building in this game is really the standout. So the cool thing about Hyper Light Drifter is there's no overt story. In fact, there are no words in the game at all. When you talk to an NPC, it just shows you a pictogram of what happened to them or whatever their story is or what they sell you. There are no words. Similarly, if you open the map, there's no descriptions of like, hey, this is a staircase, or hey, this is a point where you should go. It's just different symbols. And the people who made the game did a really good job making most of that pretty much spelled out eventually. So there was some learning curve to it. Has anyone else played this game at all?
Yeah.
Nope.
I have not, but I'm going to because it was on Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
So
the art style is my favorite part, just because I love 8-bit games and just the way that they do it. It's just so
so good.
Storybook, you know?
Yeah, and the sound design in this game is really extraordinary too. The music is essentially Blade Runner for video games. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I loved every second of it. I only was able to put like 10 hours in, unfortunately, because I've been traveling a lot for school/work stuff. So sorry, everybody. But if you haven't played Hyper Light Drifter, I would absolutely 100% recommend you get it. And actually, we probably have a free copy here at the Game Brew, so if you're interested, let us know, and we'll shoot it along to you.
Yeah, you're right.
Definitely do it.
Yeah, it's totally worth your time, especially if you're a person who appreciates sort of an old school aesthetic and a Dark Souls-like combat system, because it's just so good. It's so good.
From what I'd heard, it was more like Diablo 3 meets Zelda.
No, it's not like Diablo 3 at all.
No.
There's no
or maybe
loot.
original Diablo.
There's no loot. The combat system is super tight in a way Diablo never was. It's skill-based. It's not like equipment or like spell-based at all.
I'd say more Mega Man, like if I had to compare it to something. It's kind of like Mega Man because you got to pick the right thing to use, and like it requires you to still use skills even if you have a different thing to use. I don't know.
Right.
That's kind of what stuck out to me.
Yeah, one of the things I like about it is that it's open world and that you can go, and it doesn't give you any direction. So you can go anywhere you want straight off the bat. There are locks on doors that require you to find enough stuff. So it sort of forces you into exploration. And that was kind of something that was a little bit frustrating, because occasionally the exploration is like, there are lots of hidden and secret areas in this game, and you don't have an option whether to find them or not. You have to find them. So occasionally I found myself wandering the same path over and over again. Usually it wasn't too much of a big deal, because it was nice to wander the same path again, and the combat is compelling enough that it kind of keeps you going. But occasionally I just got frustrated sort of milling around. But I would highly recommend this game to anyone. I plan on finishing it. I would say I'm about halfway through. Probably have another 12 hours to go. I'm slow going. I know I looked up the time to beat on this game, and it's like 12 hours or so. But I'm a slow mover, so I'll get through it eventually. And Alex, welcome back. First of all, sorry you didn't get a game from White Elephant.
Yeah.
You're what have you been up to gaming-wise?
So, not being able to make the podcast for the past couple weeks, I've been super busy.
Our audience has been jeering for your return. They're very upset that you left.
Yeah,
so
all I hear was, Alex.
Yeah, it's all the feedback we ever get.
Good thing I'm here this week, guys. Because of my schedule, I've been playing a lot of short time span, 20, 30-minute games here and there. So Chris pointed me in the direction of one of my favorite games of all times was on sale for $1.99 on Steam, because it was being taken off.
What game is that?
Tony Hawk Pro Skater HD.
Oh, nice.
HD.
Yeah.
Which is where they remastered a bunch of the old levels from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and 3. And I got the $5 DLC with 3 more levels. So that's always just a fun time kill for me to go in and try and get the highest combo I could possibly imagine.
Nice.
Yeah, and they stopped selling that on the Steam store. I think because of music licensing issues.
Probably.
Or it was just running out or something.
I mean, the first Tony Hawk came out with PlayStation. So that was 99, 2000, something like that. So it's been around for a while. And then the other game I've been playing is NBA 2K17, because
Nice.
2K18 is going to be coming out in a couple months, and I still am only about halfway through my rookie year career mode after 36 hours.
Nice.
Holy
So-
shit.
I still have a lot of the season to go before I find out if I am good enough to get traded to a better team.
And a bunch of
Because
people are about
the
to...
Denver Nuggets are not fun.
A bunch of people are going to start playing that game soon too, because that's in the next Humble Bundle.
Whoa!
Yeah, so you're going to have people
Humble
to play
Bundle.
with.
People are gonna play.
Oh my
with
gosh,
me.
we can all go play NBA 2K with Alex.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
so
We're
Probably
excited.
we might do that later tonight.
That
Who knows?
Wait. How many?
That may be.
How many people can play this at once? Can we include
Can we have
Game Brew
a
fans who are on
5-player
the Humble
team?
Bundle?
Oh yeah, I mean we can have a 5-player team.
Could we have all of our career players do that?
I don't know
Because that
We'll
would
find
be
out.
awesome.
You may see a
find
future
out.
video of the Game Brew playing NBA 2K17.
We're totally
I
good.
want to play with Game Brew fans. That's what I want.
That would be
Alex
cool.
will kick my ass.
Welcome to my world.
Welcome to my world.
You just got righteous.
That's awesome, man.
All right, that's it for the first half of our show. Segment 2, when we come back, is called Shut Up and Take My Money, and it's a discussion on how we buy games and what information we use to make those decisions. So stick with us, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the second half of our show. Let's check in on the Grapefruit Sculpin real quick. Gentlemen, what do we think?
I think that this might be the first beer that I'm not horrendously enthusiastic about.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, there's a comedian, Gary Gulman, who has a bit about grapes. Have you guys heard this? And this beer, every time I take a sip of it, reminds me of his bit about grapes. Do you know the punchline to the grapes?
No. Go ahead.
Long story short, he's talking about grapes and how grapes are in everything. They're doing quite well for themselves. And then one day Grapefruit, he's in juice, he's in, jams and jellies. And then one day Grapefruit goes to him and says, "Grapes, you're killing it, man. I'm not in juice. I'm not in anything. What can you do to help me? Can I borrow your name? Can I call me you?" He's like, yeah, sure. You can call yourself Grapefruit. I just have one request. And Grapefruit says, yeah, sure, man. Anything. I'll do whatever it takes to sell myself here. And Grape says, yeah, so when we're in a fruit salad together, could you not fuck up my shit? and that's what I'm reminded of every time. It just ruins the beer for me. I'm not a grapefruit
really?
person at all.
I'm not a grapefruit person either.
So,
I despise
It's not
grapefruit.
horrible, but it's just a. I can sense it in there, and it makes me not enjoy the taste.
Oh.
Just a fun fact: this beer has a score of 95 on Beer Advocate, and the Bros, which I assume is the rest of the world that aren't
Advocates.
sommeliers. I don't know what the beer equivalent of a sommelier is, but they give it a 99. So the Bros love it. So I'm gonna crack one open for the boys.
Will must not be a bro. That's all it's up to. He's not a bro. I mean,
My collars don't pop.
I typically don't like grapefruit either. Like, I'm on the train of I don't like grapefruit. It's not my favorite thing. But this, I like. I like the Ballast Point Grapefruit
Yes.
Sculpin. So I don't know why. It's just, it's different, and I like that about it.
I love this beer. I want to stand up in defense of Grapefruit Sculpin. This is a great beer. Y'all fuck off.
That's it. End right there.
Conversation over.
I will admit that I did pick this beer, but it is not my favorite beer. It's not my favorite IPA. It's not my favorite fruit IPA. But I do like it. I don't love it though. I don't think.
Chris,
It's not
if you had
horrible,
a
it's
fruit
just not a
IPA,
good
would you call it
taste.
a
For me.
Would you call it a FUPA instead of an IPA?
It would be a
A
FIPA.
FIPA?
FIPA. A FIPA.
No, a FUPA is something different.
See. A FRUPA. Okay, anyway. So grapefruit may or may not be a determiner for you on whether you buy a beer, but let's talk about how we buy games. So these days on the interwebs, you have options. It's not like back in the day where it was basically, Blockbuster or
Cross your fingers.
GameStop or like your shitty neighbor down the street. You have all kinds of stuff that you can get games from, and there's all kind of people who are reviewing games and talking about games and helping us to inform what we're doing. So I wanted to talk about how we buy and how we decide to buy games. So let's go to Chris first, because Chris has some cool stuff that I did not even know about.
If you know anything about me, you know I spend a lot of time on Reddit. And one of my favorite...
What's your Reddit name, Chris?
I'm not going to say that.
Gets
You
a lot of
almost
random
got
private
me.
messages.
A Reddit name is Reddit is like one of the last bastions of internet privacy that you just do not give out that information.
If a lot of people found me out, I'd probably delete that account. I don't like to spend a lot of money when I buy video games. That's one of the great things that I love about PC gaming is that we get Steam sales and we can wait until stuff's really cheap. But one of the places I find out about a lot of great Steam games is this subreddit called PatientGamers. And I've found a game called To the Moon. It's one of these great story-based games. I think I talked about it before. Awesome. I found out about it from PatientGamers. And it's just all these people that wait until games are really low priced or are on sale, and then they start recommending them.
Right, and they sort of hive mind it, right? So it's not just Steam sale; it's also like Good Old Games and like wherever it happens, or Amazon Prime, wherever it happens to be on sale.
I mean, there's on this subreddit, there's people just talking about finishing Demon Souls, talking about finishing Torchlight, Saint Rose 2, Far Cry 3, just all these great old games that people may not have played before, but might want to try.
That's what I was about to ask you. Like, how much of this is actually a monetary thing for you? Like, you just really don't like to spend money. And how much of it is that you like the idea of checking out a game that's an oldie but a goodie?
I think it's a combination for me. I have a pretty large Steam library at this point. So it's hard, like, when I go and turn on my computer and look at Steam, it's hard for me to narrow down what I want to play. And this kind of helps me kind of focus a little more. If like I read a really good thing on this subreddit about a game that I might have already and just haven't really given the chance yet, I'll probably go play it. I think I did that with Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Like I'd heard so many good things about it, and I bought it for $5 on a whim on a sale. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to play this game.
So do you find that you spend... I know that when there's a Steam sale, I spend an absurd amount of money at one time and get,
yes, you do.
A truckload of games. Do you find that this is like one continual Steam sale sort of thing, and that you're constantly, $5 here, $2 there, $7, constantly buying stuff and amassing these games?
For me, I'll add it to my wish list from here.
Okay.
There are also other
idea.
Other subreddits. There's one called Game Deals that basically every week they update. So they'll have stuff from Indie Gala, Bundle Stars, GOG, Steam, like Humble Bundle. Everyone that has a sale is on there. So it's just a conglomerate of everything that's going on.
That's really cool. I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah. What is that Reddit called?
That one's r/Game Deals.
r/Game Deals. Very cool.
Yeah, we'll add that to the show notes.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll
awesome.
put that'll be on the Facebook and on the show notes for everything for that too.
Oh my gosh, we're so fancy now. Dan, since you've been the architect of so much fanciness, do you want to talk about how you inform yourself about games?
Can we put that as my official subtitle?
Architect of
fanciness, yes.
Dan Rotz,
What's my
architect of
subtitle?
fanciness.
I will send you your official beret in the mail.
Oh, oui.
Oh man, you get a beret?
I do. Yeah, I hope it is purple and from James Madison University.
All I got were spurs because I'm in the South.
I'm so sorry about that. Most of my game buying I do sparingly because I'm poor. But the things that I do buy usually are things that I see like streamers playing or that I see on YouTube because I watch.
Sorry. Doesn't that take a lot of time though? Because you have to sit and watch and figure out if it's good or not.
But that's kind of the thing is that I don't have to really worry about whether I think it's good or not. Because I watch somebody play it and I'm like, wow, this looks like fun. And then I play it and I'm like, hey, I was right.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's interesting. So for you, there's sort of a freedom from having to read a review or watch a review or somebody else voice their opinions on it. You're like, fuck that shit. I'm going to form my own opinions and then decide.
Yeah. I remember one of my biggest things now, I guess about a year ago, I started watching Game Grumps, which... some people find a little juvenile. I don't care. It's the best thing ever.
You're a little juvenile.
What is Game Grumps?
Game Grumps is a YouTube channel. They're awesome. You should check them out if you don't know what they are.
They do a lot of Let's Plays and stuff.
It's usually these two guys, Dan and Aaron, who sit down and they'll play a game. Sometimes it'll be 3 episodes. Sometimes it's an entire game. But they'll sit and they'll play, maybe it's a Sonic game. They did one that was Bloodborne. They played all of Bloodborne in one of their things. It was just a bunch of, and they're also like little 15-minute videos. So you can watch them. They're really funny. And it also they expose you to so many games. Every once in a while, there's like a Barbie's horse adventure game that they throw in there. But those are also funny in their own way. But the things that whenever they play like real games that are like real fun, or not, I mean, Barbie games can be real fun depending on who you are. But but whenever they play a game that I think is fun, like I watched them play Shovel Knight all the way through, and even though I watched them play it all the way through, I was like, I'm buying Shovel Knight because I freaking want to play that game so bad.
Yeah,
it looks so fun, and I love Shovel Knight. I'm really sad.
Dan, do you find that this takes a lot of time to sit and watch? Because a big frustration I have with Twitch, every once in a while, I'll hop on YouTube Gaming or Twitch and be like, I want to watch somebody play some games. This sounds like fun. You know, run some bathwater, put in some Mr. Bubbles, sit back, prop up the phone, and hope for the best. Pour some wine, light a candle. But
that's right.
You know,
spread the
pedals.
I
always find don't judge. I always find myself frustrated. It seems like so often I'll tune in to watch someone who's got a bunch of viewers and they're sitting there talking for 20 minutes waiting to start their game, or they're doing something else. They're doing other things than playing the game. Do you find that that's a common occurrence, and do you find that you have to sit there for long periods of time to learn about the game?
Well, I think that's kind of where my method of watching streamers and YouTube series is a little bit different. I don't treat streams like a video that I'm going to sit and watch. I treat it more like a podcast. I watch
like
it while
background noise.
Yeah, like I watch it while I'm doing other things. For instance, I'll go on a run and then take a shower, and then while I'm making food or doing something else, I'll have a stream on. Or before I go to bed, instead of reading like I should do, which is healthy and better for you, I watch YouTube videos. And then eventually wake up to my iPad still playing the 17th video in a series that I haven't really paid attention to.
Okay.
But usually I don't do it in times whenever I have breaks. I do it in the times whenever I really wouldn't be doing anything other than, maybe falling asleep or I'm making food. So it makes it a little bit more productive of a time that I really wouldn't be doing anything aside from waiting for something to happen.
That's a good idea. It's like your Law and Order SVU. You just put it on and do some other shit. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I like that. That's a good idea.
I need to start doing that instead of going on Facebook.
Yes. It's good.
I was watching some of the recaps from the Evo Championship, which was at Street Fighter, and PC Gamer did this big piece on Tokido that's totally worth checking out. And I'm not super into fighting games, but it was so much fun to watch those fights play out. So I think I could get into streaming eventually.
I usually put some on maybe at work. I watched a lot when I was at work for the launch of Breath of the Wild. I watched a lot because I couldn't play, so figured the next best thing was watching.
So I feel like... Oh, sorry, Dan.
No, sorry. It's just the Breath of the Wild is the one game I won't watch anybody play because I'm going to play it and I don't want to ruin anything for myself.
Yes, that's the perfect way to do it, Dan. Absolutely.
Well, I guess I'm the worst.
Well, it's just there's so much about that game that's about exploration and discovery that I don't want any of it ruined for me.
Sure.
Anyway, so I feel like I'm a pretty traditional game researcher and buyer. I've got my couple websites that I like to go to read. Polygon, I think, does an outstanding job of creating good content and writing good reviews. I don't know who their writers are, because I don't read their names at the beginning of all of their articles because I'm a terrible person, but their people are on point. I get tired of sort of the, just scratching the surface, sort of juvenile kind of writing that you see occasionally on game sites that I won't mention. And it's well edited for the most part, and it seems like the community on Polygon is a little bit more mature than in other places. And I appreciate that approach to reviewing games. But other than that, PC Gamer is a big thing that I do, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, Kotaku, Metacritic, tons of good stuff there. The only other thing I will say about game buying is that if you want to buy a game but you're not sure that you're going to play it, I'm just going to be on the side of be the person who buys the game. Well, here's why. Because there are times where I see a really outstanding concept, or I see a game that has a really cool thing about it, and I really want to support those people who made the game, even if I don't end up playing it. And that might sound silly, but I do want to support indie developers, and I do want to support people who are putting together awesome stuff with shoestrings. So there are games in my library that I own that I bought because I thought they would be awesome, but just haven't gotten around to yet, and I'm not angry about it. I don't feel any disappointment in myself. I know that in spite of the fact that I may not have played it, they're at least getting their comeuppance for creating something good.
Yeah. I don't know, but we talked about, whenever I was talking about Undertale a couple weeks ago, and I said, yeah, Ian, you've played Undertale. And you were like, no, I don't have Undertale. And you were like,
yeah.
And I was like,
oh, and I own it.
And you own it.
And I was like,
I
hey,
do.
dude,
I have it.
It's in your Steam library.
I've never played it. I think it's probably amazing. Like, I've heard so much good shit about it, and I'm so glad I own it. But I haven't played it, and I feel fine about that.
For me, I'm more of the idea, like, if you aren't going to if you aren't going to play it soon, you might as well just wait for a little while. It's going to be less.
Yeah, but how much of that less goes to the actual people who made the game? So I think that's a thing. I also I'm like a little bit worried about how prevalent Steam is as a way to purchase games, because it ends up taking such a big chunk out of what what the developer would get if you were buying it directly from them.
Sure, but I mean, it's a distribution platform, and they wouldn't make as many sales without it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Sure.
It just bugs me.
I think, but that's always kind of rough, because musicians have it the same way sometimes, where unless you're a huge name, a lot of the money that comes in is going to your label.
Or the other distribution channels that you need to pay for in order to support your art.
Right, sure. Yeah, and I get that, and I understand that distribution is important. I don't know, for some reason, like, as a musician, I just want that money to go straight back to the people who made it.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think as a person that you'd want it that too, or a good
That's
person.
hard to do for gaming, though, because I want to get my games in a downloaded world. I want to get my games from a reputable source that I know the files are safe. They're not going to infect my computer with a bunch
Not
of crap.
G2A.
And,
Right.
It would have to be a big name publisher for me to go directly to their website and download that. And I feel like a lot of the games, especially today, we're so explorative as a gaming community that we play a lot of little guy games, so to speak, and I don't know that I would be willing to risk that.
Well, and especially on like a Steam platform, it's like you can play the little guy games, you can play the big guy games if you want. It's like everything is all in one single, easy, one-stop shop.
Yeah, no, I get that it's convenient. I just wonder what we give away for that convenience, and if it's worth it.
Alex, what do you do to look at games or find out what the next game you're playing?
I do a lot of suggestions from you guys in the Game Brew Crew. A lot of my games I've been playing have been because of you. And also, where I work, there's a lot of gamers as well. So a lot of friend suggestions.
Gotcha.
I'm still exploring right now kind of what exactly game style and genre outside of the sports games.
Yeah, like what genre
Yeah.
is interesting to me.
So, sorry, go. I was going to say, so Alex, if I were to recommend, hey, dude, you got to go play Basket Weaver 2K10 right now, would you just go?
2K10
Dude, I
is the
love
shit.
that game.
Dude,
It's
I can
probably
weave
one of
that
the best
shit like
games
a
ever made.
boss.
Have you tried the underwater basket
When
weaving
you get
section?
to the
It's so
underwater
good.
stage, oh my god.
Dude.
Anyways, if I were to recommend a game to you right now, would you just go buy it? Or what's the next thing you would do before you spent your money?
Kind of like what Chris does. Because I'm a musician and I tend to spend a whole lot more of my money on new gear for recording or for performing or whatever it be. And I have a house, and so fixing stuff around my house is expensive. But so I'll add it to my Steam wish list, or I'll tell one of you guys.
And then we'll just buy it for you because that's how we roll.
Keep buying it for you. There you go.
Because you want to play games with me, because you love me so much.
Absolutely.
That is true. That is true.
But no,
Support
like,
your
I-
local
I
musicians,
have.
folks. Buy them games.
I've bought a lot of games on Humble the Humble Bundle because
Humble
of
Bundle.
Chris.
Humble
Bundle.
Well, and it makes you
Humble
feel
bundle.
good because they donate some of it too.
They
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
They
even
do.
if it's
just
They
a
give
little bit.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Humble Bundle. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, and seriously, if you're not on Humble Bundle, go for it. It's a really awesome program.
We
Yeah,
talk
totally
about it
worth
a
it.
lot, but it's
do.
really great. I mean, $12 a month and you get a shitload of great games.
True.
And we don't
true
get
story.
any money from
Yeah,
them.
we're
for
not.
mentioning
They
their
do
name.
not.
Nothing.
Yeah,
No, we just
seriously,
really like
they're
it.
not a sponsor of the podcast. Just saying.
We actually give money to them and
Yeah.
then talk about them.
Wait. You guys don't get paid for
sponsor
doing
us.
the Game Brew?
Who's paying you, Will?
Someone's been holding out.
Oh.
So maybe Will, what's your thing, man? What's your routine? How do you figure it out?
So I used to be a guy who would go to IGN and GameSpot religiously. And then I discovered a guy, I forget his real name. I think it's Jeremy, but he calls himself Carrick, K-A-R-I-K, I guess. But he runs ACG, which stands for Angry Centaur Gaming, and that's his YouTube channel, Angry Centaur Gaming. And he does the best reviews that I've ever seen in my life.
And his review conclusions are kind of unique, right?
Oh, they're great. So his reviews are anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes long. In a standard review, he does console and PC games. He also does a podcast that's on there in a separate playlist for those who really like the way he presents himself and talks about things. His reviews are so well thought out and so well edited and written and hilarious. He talks fast and edits fast in the way he presents that, but his witty quips are some of the funniest damn things I have ever heard in my life, and you have to pay attention to them, but they're fantastic. They make the review process interesting, and the way he breaks down his reviews, he does, I may forget a few, so I apologize for any ACG fans, or if he happens to listen, if I forget a category, but he breaks it down into sound, and further into sound between music and voice. He does graphics, gameplay, and I forget what he calls it, but I'll call it accessibility, but it's a learning curve thing. He plays all of the games that he does on every single platform. He buys the games for all these platforms himself. He is totally unsponsored so that he can give honest reviews and honest feedback, which I like.
That's interesting.
And he plays all of the games on all of the difficulty levels thoroughly.
This is a very thorough person. This is like the opposite of you playing Ocarina of Time.
It's the opposite, totally. And he's great. He's so entertaining, and he managed to he walks that line between hilarious entertainment and taking what he does seriously to present a good product so well. He is the first place I go, and 9 times out of 10, he has the review. He doesn't just do big things. He does those, of course, but he also has a lot of little things like he does big stuff like Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost Recon. He did the Edith Finch game, Fallen Legion.
Yeah.
Children of the Zodiac.
So when he makes a conclusion, but it's not a score out of 10, right? It's like don't buy it right now, or
he does he does his games on a buy, rent, wait for sale, or never touch
there you go.
categorization.
So the options are buy, like being the best,
Yes.
rent being play it for a weekend.
Yeah. Rent, play for a weekend. Wait for sale, Steam sale, GOG sale, whatever. Or never touch. Absolute shit, don't touch it. But he also, as a caveat with that, he generally remembers to talk about, if you're this type of gamer, you will really like this game. If you're not, you're not going to like this game. So it's not an arbitrary, you can't scroll to the bottom or to the end of the review and get a numerical score and say, oh, this game is or is not for me. And I very highly recommend him. He is the best I've seen.
That's interesting, and it kind of actually brings the first, what we talked about with White Elephant Gaming, kind of what we were getting at in this topic together, because not all gamers are the same. So a score, what did Tekken 7 get? Like at least 9s or like 9.7s for 10-point scales, right? Like it was a super high score, but I picked up Tekken 7 and was like, what the fuck is this thing? And had to, I returned it on Steam and walked away because fighting games just aren't my thing.
Just before Tekken Bowling came out.
Right, aside from Tekken Bowling,
boy.
now, bowling games, totally my thing. But I digress.
Whoa. How do you return games on Steam?
As long as you haven't played them for more than 3 hours, I think
2
you
hours.
can return them. Yeah.
2 hours and I think 30 days, or no, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
I forget. Yeah, there's a time limit.
Yeah,
on
it's
it.
a time
You
limit.
Things that I don't know.
Post in the comments if you know what the time limit is, because
So
we don't.
you can return a game through Steam like GameStop. You can return it just because you don't like the game.
Yeah.
You can, if you don't
just-
like it,
for
if it
whatever
I
reason,
did not know that.
Actually,
I had no idea.
GameStop, I don't think you can do that even.
They used
No.
to.
no,
Especially
They not
used
anymore?
games.
no, not anymore. Now it's
Okay,
like
they used to.
it's got to be like defective or something.
Well, they would buy it back
Brick and
from
mortar.
you.
Yeah, they would buy it back for you, but it would be less.
Oh, a return.
okay, yeah, it's
Quotations.
2 hours and 14 days.
There you go.
So if
Wow.
you play more than 2 hours, you can't return it. If you have it more than 14 days, you can't return it. But that's, I mean, considering it's digital stuff, that's pretty
That's
cool.
excellent. Props to them.
Super friendly. All right, Game Brewers, so that's it about how we buy games. But now it's your turn. Let us know on the Facebook feed or on Twitter how you find out about great games, and let us know. We'd love to share that with our community. And now, the news quiz.
News quiz music. News quiz music. News quiz music. News quiz music. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Game Brew Podcast News Quiz. My name is Dan Rotz. I will be your host this evening. How's everybody doing tonight? All right, sounds like everybody's doing great. Well, let me introduce you to our two competitors this evening. Our returning champion, William Shell.
I don't know why I'm flexing. No one can see. I'm flexing. I'm flexing.
It's very impressive.
I'm also wearing my large dinner plate sized belt.
And your pug shirt,
And
my
your pug shirt.
because you're looking for pickup groups.
And our challenger this evening, coming from a hiatus, he's a high person because he's so tall. His name is Alex Ryder.
Wait, let me bend down so I can talk on your guys' level.
Can you hear me up there okay, Alex?
What was that? One more time.
I said, can you hear me okay up there?
Oh yeah. That's crystal
All right,
clear.
great.
Thank you.
Great. Well, Alex, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
However, I am going to be starting with our returning champion, Will. Will, you will be doing the first round of questions. If you remember from the last week, we will be doing it the same way. We will be taking either 60 seconds or 5 questions. However many you get right, that is yours. If you answer 5 right, you get 5 points. If you answer 4 right, you get 4 points. If 60 seconds runs out and you don't answer all the questions, then you do not get all of the points for that round. Do you understand?
Good to go.
All right, he's G2G, everybody. And here we go. This game is coming to PS4 and PlayStation VR on July 21st in the United States. What is the game?
Is it super hot?
It is. On the PS4, the Destiny 2 beta starts on July 18th. When does the beta end?
Ooh, July 25th?
That is incorrect. It's July 23rd. What company teamed up with Disney to tease a new augmented reality headset at D23?
Lenovo.
That is correct. Ex-Bioshock devs are releasing a first-person roguelike inspired by Arabian Nights titled what?
I know this. I remember the picture. There's a skull. City of something. City of Brass?
That is correct. Call of Duty World War II reveals its zombie mode on July 20th. According to its creators, what other zombie game will it feel like?
I don't know this one.
And time is up. So, Will,
What was the answer to that?
The answer to that question is shut up, timer. Hold on.
Is that a zombie game? Shut up, timer?
No, the answer to that is Dead Space, is what it will feel like.
Interesting.
That's going to be interesting.
All right, so William, you got 1, 2, 3 questions correct out of 5 in those 60 seconds. Alex, if you get 4, then you win. If you get 3, then you tie. If you get 2, then you lose. Those are the only things that can happen in this. All right.
Oh God.
Are you ready?
Sure.
All right, and here we go. The Nintendo Switch got its first streaming app on the 13th of July. What is its name?
Nico?
That is correct. The most recent Xbox One update lets you link what to your Xbox profile?
Not actual... Like, you can put your own custom picture?
That is
as an
correct.
avatar?
While no one knows the exact specs yet, what publisher is releasing a new console soon?
Atari.
And what is the name of this console?
Ooh. Atari One. No. Atari Box.
That is correct. What Peter Molyneux is releasing a PC game called Trail the Frontier Challenge. What is the name of his game studio?
Oh, God. Fable?
Say again?
No. Fable?
No, that is incorrect. All right, and time is up. Alex, guess what? You answered 4 questions correctly, which means that you are the new champion of the Game Brew podcast quiz. 4 versus 3.
match.
Good, man.
I want a cage match.
I'm flexing.
He's so tall. And as is usual now, I did have a tiebreaker question, and I want to ask everybody because I want to know what you think.
Wait, Dan, what was the answer to the last question?
Oh, the
22
answer is
cans.
22 cans.
22
Not
cans.
like 22
right.
cans, but
Like,
22.
I drank 22 cans of beer last
Oh,
night.
Yeah.
Fable creator.
Yes. Yeah.
Peter Molyneux.
Okay. So this is my tiebreaker question. I want to ask everybody. Again, Price is Right rules. See who can get the closest without going over. The answer is in millions. Remember that. So do you guys remember Pokemon Go?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, I still play that shit. Fuck
Oh, that's
off.
right.
play it on
That's
the
right. You do. Play every once in a while. So people do still play this, but it released about a year ago. You remember that? It was crazy. At its highest point, I want to know how many unique daily users it had 1 year ago today. Like the peak daily users. Now it's in millions.
Not total downloads, daily daily
Actual
users.
users. The answer that I'm going to accept is the one. It's U.S., so not Japan. U.S.
But not worldwide.
Not
US.
worldwide. U.S. users. It's in millions. Closest without going over. I'll start with Ian because he's blue. Ian.
Oh, fuck you, Dan. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to go with 1 million, Dan.
1 million. All right. All right, Alex.
17.5 million.
17.5 million. All right, Chris.
25 million.
25 million. All right. And who's left? Will.
27 million, Dan.
27 million.
Dude, fuck you.
All right. Is everybody ready? Drum roll.
I really wish that The Price is Right had this audio where we're all talking shit to each other while we're giving our answers.
Or the winner is, rather, William with 27 million. At its highest point last July, it was at 28.5 million users.
That was a good guess, Will.
Yeah, 28.5.
No,
Can
it
you
was
hear that
just higher than
flexing?
mine.
Can you hear that
It was just
flexing?
higher than mine.
Can
It
you
wasn't
hear
a
that
good guess.
flexing? Can you hear that flexing? Well, I'm going to get close to the microphone. Listen to this. Shh.
Go play 8 hours more of something, and then we'll talk.
Will gets bonus points, but
Oh, God, I ripped my shirt.
Alex is our winner, so he will be challenging somebody next time on the Game Brew. Stay tuned for more Game Brew quiz action.
All right, well, that's it for us here at the Game Brew Podcast. Thanks for checking in with us. Remember, you can find us all the time at facebook.com/thegamebrew or on Instagram and Twitter at thegamebrew, or if you want to visit our extra special website at www.thegamebrew.com. Hit us up. We love your feedback. We love to hear from you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Okay, folks, that's a wrap.